Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the 20 to Midnight Twitch channel, or if you are watching this after the fact, to the 20 to Midnight archive. My name is Gabriel Urbina, and I am here with our fabulous PCs for our campaign. How are all of you doing?
So good.
Pretty good.
So we are off this week. We're not playing with Helena, with Cal, and with Satus again until a week from today. That's when they will... Well, I don't know. Hopefully they'll get to Marwood Manor and be able to investigate it, but maybe they'll just hang out at that pool of murky water with those strange will-o'-the-wisps creatures that assailed them. Like, maybe we'll spend the entire 3-hour stream just solving that problem. But while we are not playing today, we thought it would be fun to get on the stream, hang out a little bit, chat with you lovely, lovely people in the stream chat, which I'm seeing right now. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
And answer any questions that you guys might have in the chat. So if you have anything, go ahead and put it on there. We'll keep an eye out. We'll see it. But just while we sort of get questions in, I have one to maybe get us started. What was everyone's first moment from our first session? Were there any sort of standout things that you thought were especially fun?
Are you asking us?
Yes,
or...
I'm asking you. If the chat wants to answer, I'll also take that, but I want to get us rolling. I want to... I'm going to immediately answer a question that came up in the chat. Plant Monster cameo when? Plant Monster cameo probably never. That is a separate universe.
What?
From the one that we are in.
I quit.
There may be a shambling mound.
My rider must be Plant Monster involved.
Ooh, yeah, I had my lawyers do a quick revision of that, Emma, and snuck it past you. I am very fortunate that maybe you didn't catch that before we all signed.
I would say a highlight moment for me, one of the first, if we're going chronologically, I was pleasantly surprised with how well we handled the fight, given that the three of our characters in our little test sessions weren't necessarily the strongest of fighters. Yes, we still did have Cal faint and be brought back to life, so not a smashing success, but there were like multiple times at the end where all three of us like landed some attacks and it took some, did some spicy damage in terms of the damage rolls being quite high. So that was a nice start for our not so beefy characters.
Excellent.
Definitely. I think I agree. The fight was really fun to get right into it. I was excited that I got to cast Hellish Rebuke because I just got that spell.
Is that a new thing for your third level?
It is, yes. I only got it at third level. It's a special tiefling thing. Like I think it's actually a warlock spell.
It is.
It's a warlock spell, yes, but because Cal is a tiefling, she gets it at level 3. So that is pretty cool.
Yeah, I hugely enjoyed our first public fight, and I do think we've learnt a little bit from previous encounters, and I panicked less than usual, and yeah, we did pretty good.
I love it. I also loved the lore of
Soren's
learning
Silver
about
Shield?
Soren's Silver Shield and learning about the Black Crown trees, because that was the first time that we had learned about them too.
That was magical.
It was so cool.
Yeah, that was very fun. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Helena being her purest self in the bar. That was very fun.
Absolutely.
I think that was all great. Absolutely. All right, here's a question from the chat for us. What are your character's favorite words? I'm playing like a million people in this stream, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll say that my favorite word is ricochet.
Ooh, a fun word.
One of, I think, both my and Cal's favorite words is conflagration.
Ooh, that's a great one.
Love that word. I love that word.
This is such a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question.
It's tricky.
While you guys think about it, we do have a question for Gabrielle. Should we let you guys think?
A question
Yes.
for me?
Okay.
For moi? I just thought
Yeah,
that I was going to
yeah.
be here in the sidelines making snide little comments for this entire Q&A session.
No. So from Elizabeth Danny, if the characters die because of a battle, is that it? They're dead? Or would you be nice? And if they die, do they make a new character?
I mean, to borrow a Brennan Lee Mulliganism, and Brennan Lee Mulligan being one of the premier internet DMs of our age, he runs Dimension 20, all 82 different campaigns that seem to happen over there.
Yeah.
There's a certain point at which I need to basically take the position of, I'm just a ref. Whatever happens in the story is the result of your actions colliding with the way that the dice treat us. I'm just here to establish a consistent lore and a consistent world and a consistent set of rules over how you interact with that. So there is a certain amount of, if you tell me that your character dives off a cliff into the jagged, flaming, somehow also icy rocks below, where the hyena monsters all live, I'm not going to say, oh, a giant hand reaches out from the sky and grabs you and stops you from falling. There's a good chance that whatever character does that will die. With that said, death in the Dungeons and Dragons universe is somewhat cheap. It can be reversed. We had a death in one of these characters that was already reversed in sort of the test sessions that we did before the world of 20 to Midnight went public. I'm a big believer in any death, even if the death doesn't last forever, should have very meaningful consequences. So I will say that it might be possible for a PC who dies in the course of combat or in the course of the adventure to come back. There will always be big consequences to that happening. There will always be a high price to pay. There will always be something that changes the way that the story was going in the way that bringing that character back to life would entail.
Scary
Amazing.
stuff.
Yeah, yep.
But
Good to know.
I
Good to
support
know.
it. I think like if for there to be compelling storylines, there needs to be stakes,
Yes.
and it can't just be like we're playing on easy mode. So I like the thought, and it would like truly incentivize to play the game properly and try to help each other out rather than be like, nah, if Cal dies, then she'll come back next episode.
By the way, it wasn't me that died.
Wow.
For real. Yeah.
I did. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I did think of my favorite word, which I believe, or at least one of my favorites, would be ludicrous, because it's just a very fun thing to say, and then it does always make me think of The Rapper, which is always a fun little two. And I just find 3-syllable words to be very fun because you can really stress like a different syllable on it depending on what you're trying to emphasize. And I think calling something ludicrous is very fun.
Yeah.
It can be ludicrously good, it can be ludicrously bad.
Nice.
So I
And
think
that does
would be
seem
my
like
answer.
a very Satus word
Yeah, it
too.
really suits him.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I think most of Helena's favourite words would be quite simple, sort of action words, but I think her favourite is probably one of my favourites, which is discombobulated.
Ooh.
It suits her, and I think she often feels discombobulated. It's a great question.
I'm going
I
to...
think we're getting some.
Occasionally, we're like in Mordor.
Yeah. I think that might be from Mike's audio, maybe. We're hearing some rumblings and people talking.
Oh, okay. I have an idea.
Okay.
We will resume
We're doing an experiment.
mic audio shortly. But while we do that, I will add one more thing to sort of that rules of death and dying in 20 to Midnight thing.
Yes.
Which is that we've sort of spent a long time talking about what makes for not just a good Dungeons and Dragons game, but a good Dungeons and Dragons stream. Like, we are very, very aware of everything that we're doing is ideally going to be not just entertaining for the 4 people that are on the screen right now, but also for everyone watching in the stream. And that's one of the reasons why I really sort of pushed for let's play with that variant gritty realism rule that says that if you want to take a short rest, that's 8 hours of resting. If you want to take a long rest, that's a week. Because
I am so scared about this rule.
Well, because I never wanted to have that thing where we're in the middle of a dangerous dungeon and everything is exciting and tense, and then what we do for one session is have you guys debate about whether you should rest or not, which is a thing that is, I think, endemic in so many D&D tables and can be perfectly fun and perfectly all right when you're in a basement somewhere with 3 of your friends, but when you're in a internet basement with hopefully lots of dozens of your internet friends watching, it's not so fun to have that. And so there are kind of a lot of things that are motivated by those sorts of decision-making calculus of not just what will be good to keep the tension up for us, but also what will be good for kind of keeping things tense and interesting and moving in the audience's perspective.
Excellent. There's a question from Anomalies. Are there any parts of the gorgeous map, it is gorgeous, well done, Gabriel, that you look forward to visiting during the campaign? That's a great question.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that I need to stay out of this one because I know what places you are probably going to be pushed towards, although I could be very surprised, so I'm not going to stick my oar in for this one.
Okay.
I want to see everybody's hometown. I think going to the 3 of ours hometowns would be very fun. Always a compelling episode of The Bachelor when they go to hometowns. Yeah. So I think it would be compelling as well.
For great television, yeah. I think I'm most excited. I'm excited about all of them, but I think I'm most excited about hopefully getting to the Principality of Soliana.
Oh.
The sea realm. I want to find some pirates.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that. Maybe. Potentially. Possibly.
It's just such a good map. I want to go everywhere. I definitely think everybody's home places would be fun. Be interesting to visit Veldria, where Hana's from, although I think perhaps like the others that is an interesting relationship, so it will be interesting to see how that goes. The far north kind of intrigues me on this map. The very snowy places, very mountainous cold places. But it all looks great.
Yeah, is that the Tel'Darath?
The Tel'Darath.
Yeah, the
Gabriel.
Tel'Darath.
Yeah. I'm scared and excited about going there.
And if anyone watching this right now is kind of going, map? What map? There's a map. On our YouTube channel, we have a short video that is an introduction to the world that kind of shows an atlas of the different nations of Keldarin and sort of talks a little bit about the nations that Cal, Helena, and Satus are from. And it also has a link where you can kind of just like look at the map at your leisure and zoom in and sort of take it all in. So go to our YouTube page and look at for our videos. The World of Keldarin is the one that shows that off. So if you haven't looked at that yet, check it out. We put a lot of effort into thinking about this world and making it up.
And by we,
the
we
royal
mean
we.
Gabriel.
Us here in the DM royalty is what I meant. Excuse me.
Rena says there was a big skull in the map in Bas Saranath that makes me go, eyes. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a skull that is right outside a town called God's End. So maybe you can draw some conclusions about what that big skull might be about.
I wonder. All right. What else have we got here?
Thank you, Dasmon511, for putting a link to the YouTube video in the chat. So everybody check that out.
Oh, yes, thank you. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe on YouTube as well. That's
yes,
where
we recently discovered that we're now in a fascinating gray zone where YouTube puts ads on our videos, but they don't give us money for those until we hit certain other markers. So suddenly we are very, very, very incentivized to get as many people subscribed and watching on our YouTube channel as possible, because it turns out that someone else will profit from our labor until that happens. So please subscribe on our YouTube channel.
Oh, capitalism. It looks like Dasmon511 has also asked, what's each character's favorite food? That's a great question.
Maeve likes strawberries. Maeve the shopkeeper.
Maeve the shopkeeper.
Oh,
yes. That's nice.
She's quite fond of strawberries.
Yeah. Yeah, just go through all the NPCs and let us think about this.
Deadeye Baron used to. No, I will not.
Yeah.
Eldon.
Used to.
He would have been a big bacon guy, like the guy who's like way too into bacon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That is now canon.
Yeah. I want to say Cal really likes fried food. So like fried chicken or like tempura vegetables. I'm not sure if tempura is a thing that exists in this world.
It is now. It is now. Bam.
Great. Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Like she really likes the onion rings, but like with the light batter.
I think Helena likes fruit, soft fruit, and meat, which I'm really excited about as a vegetarian. I think she would enjoy meat, maybe venison, things that can be caught. Big old carnivore, hooray.
See, this is the part of D&D that people don't talk about. Forget about getting to exist in a world where magic and fantasy and all these things exist. But what about being able to step outside your diet?
And enjoy meat, yep.
Yeah.
That's great. I love it. The real reason we play D&D.
I think Satus would be like a hearty salad guy. Like when you get a salad, but that it also has some sort of like protein in it. I think that would be his jam.
I'm realizing, sorry guys, that when we had the question about death and dying, I should have just held up my mug to the camera.
Yes.
My traditional D&D mug for whenever I'm DMing or running one of these sessions, my Tears of My Players mug.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be tears of joy and tears of laughter, all tears accepted.
There is a natural 1 on top of the tears, so I think that it suggests a certain quality of what brought on those tears. But
I mean, you can have tears of laughter from a natural 1. Yeah.
Maybe the bad guy rolled a 1.
Hey.
Or we failed gloriously, heroically failed.
I think going back to the rest comment that Gabriel made that I think is good, thinking about it more, is from listening to some D&D campaigns, there will be times where I feel like a short rest like doesn't feel earned, and sometimes like, or other times it will be ignored because like, say for the plot wise they have to like get on a travel somewhere, but like game wise it doesn't make sense for them to have a short rest, so it feels like more selective. I feel like the gritty realism stuff that we have, like if you're able to sleep overnight, short rest. If you're able to like truly chill,
Take
full
some
rest. And I think that
off.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like that will avoid the situation where it's like, oh, we're in transit, but we don't want you to, restock your health and stuff. So we're going to, find a reason why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Totally. We've got another Gabriel question from Quod Justicia. I know, 2 whole ones. How do you structure your DM writing process? Do you have quote unquote sequences or loose arcs that you outline? Sorry, I've been practicing my Irish accent. Or ...
Interesting. Well, I talked a little bit about this in the Q&A that I did before the stream officially launched with Emma and with Mike about I have to really sort of fight my my impulse to write it all out ahead of time, because it can be very easy to sort of get into that mentality of, oh my god, it's going to be so amazing when the culmination of this campaign is the fight on top of Mount Doom, and so let me just structure everything backwards so that it will get there. And then you get to that first moment when the characters can go left or right, and all of a sudden it's a suspense movie for you as the DM, because you're kind of like, oh god, if they go left, they are never going to see any of that, and we're never going to get there. Oh my god. And so you start to do things like going, oh, the path on the right seems amazing, and there's a Starbucks already there, and you're feeling really thirsty. You could use some caffeine. The one on the left seems like a horrible climb. You don't want to go to the left. So most of what I think of as terms of DM structuring more than anything is kind of, what is a place, what is an area around it, and what are cool things for the characters to discover. And beyond that, I will leave a very signposted road that kind of goes, adventure this way. So for example, with this first session that we did, you were very cute to kind of, please go talk to this person at the inn. And then the person at the inn went, please go deal with this problem in my mansion outside of the house.
Right.
But beyond that, for example, I wasn't sure that you guys were going to see the letter that Deadeye Baron had on him. Because I sort of knew, hey, this is an unscrupulous bandit. He will try to rob them. He will probably try to fight them. He is not motivated to fight to the death. If things start to not go his way, he will try to get out of there, and he's crafty enough to have an invisibility potion. So I was very, very aware of, there's a distinct possibility that if things go a certain way, if some perception checks don't go the right way, he'll disappear, and maybe you'll run into him later, but you're not going to see that letter that he had with him.
Right.
So I sort of had to kind of be, okay, let me plant this possibility. Let me sort of put this here. Same with, the Eye of the Storm in Maeve Blackwater. You have now met kind of a magic specialist, which as a DM is a good thing for you guys to have on hand. But just because Atala said that you guys should go talk to her, that was no guarantee that you would.
Right. Right.
And there's other things in the town of Cold River that you guys didn't bump into yet. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But I sort of think of it more in terms of that idea, in terms of kind of, what are a lot of different possible things for you guys to interact with? What are a lot of kind of interesting things that might be leads towards what the story is? And then what is sort of one road that will be signposted for you guys? And I think that later on, that signposting may start to go away a little bit as you guys are more faced with, hey, we have a mystery, we have a problem. What are the different solutions that we could find to deal with it? And what are different ways? What are different leads on how to solve the problem? Let's find out.
Awesome.
Yeah, it feels like you're leading us to the forks in the road, but not like forcing us down the one particular fork. And I think that's like the right way, where like it doesn't feel railroaded, but also like, yeah, we delivered the things and we're kind of like, all right, what do we do now?
Well,
Right.
It's also interesting because 20 to Midnight is, as we said in front of our first episode and in all of our promotional material, a show about 3 heroes who must race against the clock to save the world. Spoilers, that hasn't happened yet. There's not
Yeah.
the ticking clock. The sands have not started to go down on the hourglass. I am desperately trying to get us as soon as humanly possible to the point where that gets started, because number one, I just enjoy a good ticking clock. I think that similar to the long rest variants, that just makes for a better story. But so I am a little bit brusquely pushing you guys towards some of that in some ways. After that, I'm very, very excited to a little bit more let you guys loose and kind of go, great, you had 2 jobs. Now, what do you want to do? How do you want to solve whatever problems may or may not have arisen?
Awesome. Yeah, it's been fun. Like in some of our test sessions, we definitely took some paths that or we took a long time to make certain decisions a couple times.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get better at doing that. But but yeah, there was one in particular that I remember, Gabriel, where you were like, if you had done this thing, things would have gone really, really differently. And that's just part of the fun, you know? And having a good DM like Gabrielle, knowing that you're going to be prepared for whatever silly choices we make, it's awesome. It's great.
Well,
I
and
feel in good hands.
I think that when you're starting off to play Dungeons and Dragons, every time you come to a fork in the road, there is a little bit of that moment of, I think that one of these is the right path, and I really want to get it right, and so let's spend 45 minutes discussing each of these paths.
Yeah.
And I try to, as much as possible, make it so that it's like, here's a fork in the road. Either way leads to story. It might be different story. It might be different problems that you encounter, but there's not one correct path. Everything is just leading to a different part of the story.
Totally. Any more questions from y'all? Or do we have any questions for ourselves or each other? I have so many questions for myself.
I am seeing one from Cats Out of the Bag saying, what were some insults you didn't get to use when fighting dead ass, quote unquote, Baron?
I think this is for Mike.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I mean, the possibilities are endless, you know? I think probably in like if he really thinks he's a dead eye, like I think making fun of his eyesight could have been fun.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if we did something that involved moving around quickly and he lost track of us. Also, just like I didn't realize his name. I thought he was like Deadeye Baron, like the position of power.
I think everyone realized that is that. I think that, or rather, everyone except me thought that I was saying Baron instead of Beron.
Right.
And that's all right.
So you can make fun of his position of power, or even if it's not his name, that he sounds like one. So I don't know exactly how a baron works. The only baron I know is like Baron Praxis from the Jack and Daxter games, and he was corrupt. So maybe something like that.
Not a ton of like benevolent barons in fiction. Most of the time, I mean, there's a reason why robber baron became part of the lexicon.
Yes. The worst of classes. There's another DM question.
Oh,
Again from Hanameles. Any good tips on how to determine how challenging a certain enemy should be for your party? This is a great question. I'd love to know the answer. Sincerely, someone whose party just massacred her cool Mind Flayer villain in 2 turns. Aww.
So, a couple of things here. Because number one, the first time that I ever DM'd a game, I ran into this problem. Where I was like, my party's level 7, and this was supposed to be a level 7 challenge rating creature, and they just steamrolled over it. What is going on here? So the first thing that I would say, and I am very, very, very guilty of this, and I maybe shouldn't say this because maybe my players will now exploit this, is make sure that you are actually keeping track of resistances in your monsters. So, for example, a lot of monsters are resistant to practically every kind of damage except one very specific kind of damage. And so that is meant to be almost an in-universe lore puzzle of, did the players actually talk to the person that can tell them that the gnolls are resistant to everything except acid, and then they stock up on acid arrows in order to take them out. Because that can be one of the things where if you're fighting a monster that is supposed to only be able to really take damage from 1 or 2 of your players, because there is a lore reason within the world to do that, but everyone is actually just being able to hit them at full damage, that will really, really kind of impact how powerful your monsters feel, and it will really kind of make it easier for the party to wipe the floor with them. Another thing that I would say is, and again, this kind of comes back to that long rest variant, is if you're able to kind of control when and how your party takes long rests and when they refill their abilities, that will definitely impact things. Because I generally find that if a creature is listed as an appropriate encounter for, say, a level 5 party, what that usually actually means is this is an appropriate encounter for a level 5 party that has like 40-ish% of their abilities tapped out. But if you're kind of coming at it with like the wizard having all of their spell slots and the warrior can action surge and the bard has all their inspiration, yeah, that's going to tip things a little bit in the direction of the party. Oh, actually, one big thing.
This is all very good information.
Get this book, The Monsters Know What They're Doing, by Keith Ammon. I have absolutely no idea if I'm pronouncing this gentleman's name correctly, but I will shill for him because this book is awesome. It will talk a lot about the things that you should be doing as a DM and as a tactician to actually make fights that are interesting and where it seems that the monsters are set up correctly in order to succeed. So for example, a lot of the things that Iberian did, I took from that book of like, you know, look, if this is a high charisma swashbuckling bandit, he's not just going to attack. He'll try to, you know, he doesn't want to fight anyone, first of all, so he will use his reputation, and then he'll try to use whatever magic he has access to create illusions in order to try to tip the scales in his favor rather. And if the party's not going well, he's going to drink an invisibility potion and get the fuck out of there. Like, he doesn't want to hang around and get killed. And there's a lot of really, really great information about that. About, say, with a Mind Flayer, is he fighting the PCs behind, say, like a one-way mirror so that he can see them and do psionic abilities to them, but they can't see the Mind Flayer, and so therefore they can't attack them with magic. Those kinds of things. And it will really kind of reframe how you approach things. So I highly, highly recommend The Monsters Know What They're Doing. It's a great, great book. I think that there's also a companion book called The PCs Know What They're Doing, which I strongly recommend that none of my PCs read. That would suck the fun out of this whole adventure.
That just seems like cheating. I prefer to not know what I'm doing.
I think a fun thing about the Baron fight and then some of the other fights we've done before is that there is like a little bit of mystery and intrigue in it. So it's not just like beat up the dude, but it was, you know, the intrigue of like what's going on with these holographic gift type things. Can they actually hurt us? How strong is the Baron? Like, did he, you know, when he did the invisibility thing, could we still try to fight him? Was he going to leave? There was enough like suspense beyond just you have a thing, you must fight the thing. And I think that makes the fights that much more fun from like a story perspective, because I feel like sometimes with D&D shows, when you get to the fighting, it's just kind of like roll number. But the way that Gabriel created the first film we've seen so far, it was more than just, you know, punch.
And how good is Alan's music too?
100% amazing.
So good. Makes a big difference to have that going during combat.
We have a new question that I think is the most important question so far.
Oh, yeah.
Naomi Thinks It asks, how did Beth get so cool? And details, please.
I want to know. I want to know, too. Yeah.
I'm definitely not cool. I just am very lucky to hang out with other cool people. And I'm going to stick around as long as they have me or kill me, which seems more likely in view of this conversation so far. I mean Helena, not me. Obviously.
Yeah.
I'm not
Objectively, I think Helena is the toughest to kill out of the bunch. That's perhaps not saying a ton, but...
Yes, but I think she's inclined to make quite poor decisions, so...
Bold. I'd say bold.
Bold,
yeah.
bold decisions.
Very fair.
So we'll see. see how that goes.
Naomi thinks it says incorrect. Beth, extremely cool. I have to. I am inclined.
I am declaring
to
that
agree,
canon in the world of 20 to Midnight.
Yeah,
Not thinking you're cool is like the coolest thing you can do.
Yeah.
So
it's true. Yeah.
Any other question, folks? While we look for questions in the chat, what do you guys think is? Do you guys have any theories about what you're going to encounter, what you're headed towards, what's going on in that manner?
I was thinking maybe vampire, just because of the darkness. I don't know enough about all the monsters in the world of D&D or in the head of Gabriel Urbina to know what it might be.
I am trying to, as much as possible, stick to monsters that come out of D&D books. And
Gotcha.
Maybe tweaking them a little bit. But I am trying to, as much as possible, stick to like D&D seal of approval monsters instead of it's a homemade plant monster that I came up with.
Yeah. Oh man.
yeah, I definitely feel like it'll be something that thrives in the shadows, hence us having the light being very important. So I don't know if that means vampire, but something that I think either relies on stealth or darkness or, creeping around. I'm anticipating challenges in that area.
Totally.
Yeah, that sounds right. I was intrigued by the suggestion that we might be able to potentially persuade or negotiate with whatever it is rather than just destroy it. But I don't know. I don't know if we'll succeed, if that will actually be possible. But it would be very interesting if it is a possible line of going forward.
Yeah, the line of do we parlay or do we smash?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm scared. I hope we don't drown in that pool of water.
Well, this is it. We're not even there yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we'll find a cool fish in the pool.
We might.
I want pets.
Maybe the fish will be our friend. Oh yeah, we got to get some pets. We got to get some party pets. For sure.
Yeah, that'll do wonders for the action economy, I'm sure.
Yeah. We've got some more questions now.
Hit us.
All right. So again, from Naomi Thinks It, what do you think your characters are most afraid of? That is a great question.
I think Satus is most afraid of someone losing interest mid-story, like when you can see it in their eyes that they're not interested in what you're saying.
Yeah, that's also my greatest fear. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely mine too. It's up there.
So Helena has been very keen to get some money for personal reasons that are a big deal to her involving getting married. And I think for a long time that would have been the most important thing. But I think she's getting on very well with her new friends so far, so she'd probably be most afraid of letting them down.
Oof, that's so real.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah. I think that's a big one for Cal too. I think disappointment of disappointing her friends and family, the people who have made sacrifices for her. That's a big fear. And I also think I'm going to think about it more, but I think taking responsibility is a big anxiety for Cal. Maybe not like her biggest fear, but I think that's a big one. She doesn't want to be in charge of stuff.
So basically, responsibility, letting down people, and being uninteresting. This is just a cavalcade of all the things that I am personally afraid of.
Yeah. I mean, me too. Okay, we've got... Oh, again, another great one from Naomi Thinks It. What's your character's most prized possession?
I'll have to figure it out along the way, but I feel like there's going to be some book that's very important to Satus, whether that is a history book or a book of stories or whatever it is. I think there's going to be some, like, maybe it was like the first one he read as a kid that got him interested in all the sorts of things. But I don't think it would be the musical instruments, because those can be replaced and they can be damaged and stuff. But like whatever first got him into the stuff that he's into now, I think he probably still has that, even if it's like a small little tiny beginner's book. Like I have a very old book from my childhood called Wacky Basketball Facts to Bounce Around. And it's like this 20-page book about basketball and stuff that I had in the 90s.
Awesome.
But like, I read that thing forward to backward, upside down, in between, underwater, and everything. And it's a important one to me.
Yeah.
So Helena has two things. She has a black and red engagement ring or promise ring, and the clasp on her cloak, which is her family crest. And those are her most important things. I think she's lost quite a lot of possessions along the way, and but those two things remain.
Things for evil NPCs to steal. Volume 1.
I'm totally gonna make this up right now, but I think so. This is a great thing. This is talk about collaboration. I mentioned last week because one of the NPCs, was it Maeve that we met, who had all the pierced ears,
As decided
all the
on by
piercings,
Beth.
as decided on by Beth. Well, speaking of like another person making that decision, Mikaela, who did the amazing artwork, Mikaela Buckley, who did the character and logo and overlay artwork.
60% on what's on the screen right now, courtesy of Mikaela
Yeah.
Buckley.
Yeah. So she gave Cal a whole bunch of earrings up one of her ears, at least one of her ears. We've only seen one of her ears. And so I think that her first piercing, the earring that she wears in like the lobe piercing, I think her dad took her to get that pierced when she was young, and she's kept the same earring in that one forever.
Lovely. Oh, that's great.
There we go.
Very sweet.
Thanks, Mikaela.
No, but I mean, I think that that's what's fun about this world, that, someone makes kind of a choice and then you can just go, great, let me run with that. It's also part of the reason why I like, instead of staying up all night and being like, let me create absolutely everything there is to know about this cart driver, to just kind of a little bit go like, great, tell me 3 things about this cart driver and we're going to run with it. And we would have never arrived at this way more metal than I expected cart driver with blue hair and a tiger medallion who is gregarious and friendly and gets along well with the people that he's transporting through dangerous territory, if I hadn't just kind of opened up the gates to go like, guys, tell me 3 things about this guy and we'll just make them canon right here, right now.
We might have to do a one-shot down the road if we don't meet Eldon again, of The Adventures of Eldon.
I think it's a fun thing that you've done, Gabriel, because I don't think I've listened to or watched another D&D stream where like players have some of a say over what the NPCs look like. And I think it makes it feel like our world a little bit, not just, your world and we get to visit it and stuff. Like, it makes it feel more communal that we get to put little flourishes here and there and then you roll with them. I think it's a very unique and fun way to do it. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, in so many ways, it's also just kind of a like, I am so keenly aware of my shortcomings, and I know that if I had to create 10 NPCs, they would all look different. I think that if I had to create 100 NPCs, most of them would hopefully look different. But once you get into sort of like the tons and tons and tons of NPCs that you meet in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, it really starts to get into kind of like, I would sort of inevitably, instinctively just keep reaching for a lot of the same descriptors. So it's so much better and sort of results in so much of a more varied and diverse cast to kind of be able to just like quickly throw certain things at you guys, and kind of go like, yeah, like I will define Maeve the shopkeeper is a half-elf with sort of blonde hair. What's one more thing that she has that is like immediately visually interesting? And I would have never come up with the thing that you came up with, Beth. And I think that just makes it a better, richer world.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's been really fun.
And
Yeah,
also
it's
shout out
really
to,
interesting.
this is not an idea that I came up with, my friend Ben, who has DM'd a lot for me, did it with certain games that we ran together. I've seen other sort of DMs do it. And like someone, like Bessica Jar just said in our chat, work smarter, not harder. Definitely, 100%.
Absolutely. We've got another question from Hanomalies. Do you have any favorite planes within the D&D lore, such as the Feywild, the Astral Sea, etc.? I am definitely not the right person to answer
this
this
is some next
question.
level D&D
Yeah,
nerdery
yeah,
right
this
here, and I
is-
love it.
I do want to share that my my spouse ran a D&D campaign for us, and I hope maybe we'll get back to it soon, wherein I played a druid, a half-elf druid named Juniper Ponderosa. I love her very deeply. Would love to return to her, but they based it off of kind of Pancho Villa and like the Mexican Revolution, which I thought was really fun and really cool. So that is not the answer to your question, but that's just me sharing that information.
I'm literally thumbing through my D&D Dungeon Master's Guide to remember what some of these are called. I really like the Labyrinth Winds. I just think that is such a cool title, and everything that happens there is probably extremely cool. So I'm going to go with the Labyrinth Winds for my favorite other dimension within the D&D world.
Nice.
I don't know if this is the right like answer, but at least when I was picking what type of class Satus was, like the race, I thought just being a human would be funny, just because it's like there's all these options of warlocks and tieflings and blah blah blah. And I was like, what if I was just a dude?
Yeah.
So I think I'd like to go reverse and just be like, I like being a normal person in a fantasy world. I think it's a fun difference.
Totally. This is a great question that I don't know the answer to. Did we get to roll on the trinket table?
I'm not sure. And
I don't
boy,
think
if
we
we
did.
I think that only certain classes or only certain backgrounds do that. And I
Okay.
think that that's kind of one of those, like, in character generation, you might sort of roll on something, and then it's like, oh, you have this broken pocket watch with an inscription that you can't read, or something like that, which is kind of a generator of mystery for your characters.
According to Naomi Thinks It, anyone can. So maybe at some point we'll get to roll on the trinket table.
We can do this. If you guys really want a trinket, we can give you a trinket. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Trinkets.
Yeah, I want a trinket.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we'll get you guys set up. We'll take
okay,
care
sweet.
of you.
Sounds good. Maybe we'll find some trinkets in the manor.
Oh yeah, that manor is chock full of trinkets.
Chock full of trinkets.
Chock-a-block full of trinkets.
I'm really glad you asked that question. Ooh, Key9135 asks, do you or your characters have a favorite or lucky number? That's a good question.
My favorite and lucky number would be 17. It originally happened because when I played travel baseball as a kid, first time I was on a travel team, we had custom jerseys. So you actually got to pick your own number, as opposed to like when you play rec sports and like the small is 0 through 5 and the medium is 6 through 10. And I wanted to be number 7 because I liked Mickey Mantle from the Yankees, but one of the coach's kids took 7. So I was like, oh, fine. I don't know, 17. And then when I came back from picking that, my dad was all excited that I picked 17. And I was like, huh? He was like, oh, did you know that was like my soccer jersey number when I played varsity in college? And I was like, no. And then my dad was like, oh, okay, did you pick it because you were born on the 17th? And I was like, oh, I was. Like, and then it just kind of like kept popping up in all these ways. Like,
Wow.
My sister was born on the 17th of a different month. I was like alphabetically 17th in my class at the time in 6th grade. So it was like, it kept showing up in all these different ways. And then from then on, it's just kind of like been my go-to number for everything.
Nice.
That's dope.
Yeah. I want to say, I think for Cal, it's going to be, 8. 8.
8.
I don't have a reason.
Great.
That's just what my brain. I should have just rolled the dice. But, 28 is a big one for me. That's the date of my birthday in August, and then also a lot of people, like my mom is May 28th, my stepsister is October 28th. I know a bunch of other people born on the 28th. It's a good day. It's a good day to be born.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's so tempting to say 20, of course.
Yeah. That makes sense for Helena.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my lucky number's 13. My parents met on Friday the 13th, and 13's always lucky in our family. So I guess Helena can have that.
It's a number with some
20s
good
aside.
talismanic qualities, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Do you guys have dice on hand? Because I have pulled up the trinket table, and we can do that right now.
I could go
Okay,
grab
wait,
my
hang
dice.
on. We have
or
one
could
more
log
question.
Into...
I think let's do this last question. We'll roll for trinkets, and I think that after that, we're going to call it a day for today.
Perfect. I
But,
love it.
so our last question before we give you some trinkets, and we let Emma go grab some dice, is: do any of you, as characters or in real life, name inanimate objects? I rarely do.
I definitely do. I'm trying to think of.
The closest I get is naming plants, but that's about it.
I think that counts as an animate object.
Yeah.
Lightly
Yeah.
animate? I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely animate.
I do not. So I seem to be surrounded by people who name their cars and weaponry, and I
Wow.
just do not.
I definitely name my cars.
I did too.
And most of my electronics for a long time. I haven't done it in a while, except that this computer that I'm working on, its name is Garrus. So
Nice.
that will make sense to some people. But yeah, I can't think of other inanimate objects off the top of my head that I've named, but I'm sure I have. I tend to do stuff like that.
I try to avoid it so I don't get emotionally attached, but I did name my first car Steve because in college I had a friend who named her ukulele Snapdragon, and I was like, that is way too extra and way over the top. If I ever get something, I'm going to give it a boring ass name. So when I got my car, which was my dad's like 15-year-old car, that was my graduation gift, and I still had to pay for it. I named it Steve.
Nice.
Excellent.
Normal human guy, car called Steve.
Yeah.
Very
Real
consistent.
human bartender. So my car's name is Hinky because I inherited it from my grandmother when she passed away. And her name was Claire, but her Yiddish name when she was growing up was Hinkala. And so she was called Hinky, which I didn't know until her memorial.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so I named the car Hinky. She's still going. All right, now I'm going to go get my dice.
All right, go get your dice, yes. And here, Beth, we can start with you.
Yeah, I got my dice.
Roll me a d10, please.
Okay. Yes, I have a 7.
Okay. And then roll it for me again, please.
A 3.
Lovely. Mike and Emma, when you get a chance, roll your
Yes.
d10 twice for me, please.
D10 twice.
And tell me what you get
Or-
each time.
Okay.
Okay. D10.
Okay, got it. Let's see. I got a 9
Uh-huh.
and then a 6.
Okay.
Okay. Just checking. Should I roll the one that like has
Doesn't
the-
matter. Just roll it
It
twice.
doesn't matter.
Yep.
Okay. I got 2 and 2. Maybe 2 is Cal's lucky number.
There we go. Okay, so the trinket table, per the player's handbook, you roll it to gain a trinket, a simple item lightly touched by mystery. some of these might be more lightly touched than others. For example, Beth, with a 73, your trinket is the shell of an egg painted with scenes of human misery in disturbing detail.
The shell of a what?
The shell of an egg painted with scenes of human misery in disturbing detail.
Okay, then. I mean, I guess I brought that on myself with 13. Great.
Mike, yours is, wow, hang on, Mike got a way better one. Mike has a black pirate flag adorned with a dragon's skull and crossbones. That is so extra and so much better than what Beth got. Oh my god.
What?
Really like what Beth got. I like that it's an eggshell, so you have to be mega careful with it.
Yeah, you gotta be so careful about the misery egg.
And then Emma, Cal's trinket with a 22 is a small wooden statue of a smug halfling. Excuse me, a statuette. A small wooden statuette.
Of a smug halfling.
Excellent.
Yep, so there we go. So a small smug halfling, a eggshell with disturbingly graphic scenes of human misery, and a pirate flag with a dragon skull. Ba-na-na-na-na-na.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that this changes everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, everything that we knew about this character got thrown out the window.
I like canonically if like Satus just uses it as like a book or something.
Right.
Uses the most badass thing in the most like normal way. Like, oh, it's like I wrap my lyre in it or something.
Yeah, totally.
It's purely what's the word? Useful.
Yeah, it's
it's
function,
just like
not
practical,
fashion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, I never noticed that it was like a badass thing. It's just a very soft cloth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait until Cal and Helena discover the awesome pirate flag.
Helena's gonna be so jealous.
Yeah.
I'm good, so jealous.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I think that is where we're going to call it for today. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We're going to be back in this same place at the same time next week for episode 2 to see if Helena and Cal can get out of that lake of brackish water that they have been lured into.
This may be the last time you see Helena and Cal.
Possibly. On top of that, remember, folks, that if you want to get more 20 to Midnight goodness, we have a Patreon. We're posting a couple of little goodies up there. Sometime in the next week, probably, I'm going to be putting up a map of Cold River with the various points of interest in that city that these guys got. And so if you would like to sort of be able to look at it and see everything that is in that city, definitely join up at patreon.com/20, then the word 2 midnight. And yeah. Guys, anything else that we should be doing or saying? Any other last shout outs?
I don't think so. Yeah. Thank you all so much for tuning in and for your excellent questions.
Thank you so much, guys. Seriously.
Questions.
I think my only other note would be I'm continuing the Where in the World is the Mike Schubert trend. Was California, now New York. I'll be in a new place next time. What?
Where's Mike gonna be?
A little game within the game, if you will.
Yes.
Cool.
All
Thank
right.
you all so much. Have a great rest of your weeks, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.